Also, everyone, before I close up the show day video, I really want to apologize that this video was lacking content. I couldn't film a lot today because of like the amount of things that was going on, and I was doing two divisions, so I was running in and out of the stage literally today all the time, and it was really difficult, like really difficult. And the reason why I couldn't do that is because, like, guys, I'm alone. I'm like, there's no one to film for me. And I will see you in the next video, which will be dated July 1st. And I don't know what playlist I will make with that video. Might not be a playlist just yet, but I will be thinking of a new playlist to make on this channel. But anyway, I'll see you guys. And before I close the video, I also need to really thank my coach. I really want to thank like the athletes that were there and like the organizers of the show, because like that show was like on another level. Maybe if you have been competing in the IFBB/NPC for a while, you probably know that, or probably have experienced better shows, but me being myself, who only done 3 shows, this has been the best one so far, the most professional so far. And the athletes, they're very kind, very nice to one another, very supportive backstage. So like, I really hope one day I meet the same people I met in my NPC day like first show, and like meet them when all of us are on different levels and have evolved. So yeah. When I texted Vinny and I was like, hey man, remember me? The guy was very nice. He wasn't like, well, you know, usually another coach would be like, what do you want? Or like, you're ready, I was coaching you and you decided to leave. So what happened? But he was very understanding of the situation of being a student, and he was very understanding of why I had to leave. I told him I really miss the stage and I want to come back, and at the time, over that course of 1 year where I paused my membership, I was doing much better financially because I was able to save a lot more money and I wasn't prepping for anything. So there was a lot of stuff that weren't really necessary that you would spend money on in bodybuilding when you're prepping that you wouldn't in an off season.
It's show day. It's currently 5 a.m. I woke up like 30 minutes ago, sent the coach the pictures, the videos, the check-ins, and now all I have to do is just chill and wait for my assignment. I have to wait for the coach to send me the plan of what we're doing today. I have to be in the venue in around 1.5 hours. My tanning is at 7, and then I have the makeup and hair at 7:30, and from there show day is just gonna be a couple of hours. At 10 a.m. we begin.
I'll divide this period into periods of 3 months. The whole period from the time I competed, from the time I went back to Vinny. To the time that I stepped on stage today, it was around 9 months. In fact, it was almost 10, and I will come to that. But it was planned to be 9 months. The plan was to put on some weight for 3 months, bulk up, get the metabolism going, get the diet moving, get used to the living situation of being on prep and eating on time and all that stuff again. And then there was a period of 6 months where I dieted down. The first 3 months were great. Progress was good, mentally was in a good place, that I didn't have any free time, wasn't really invested in a relationship, but I was like, she's very nice, she's understanding, we get along together, there's a lot of stuff that we have in common, and I feel happy around her, so why not try and, get a little bit closer. And in the second phase of the prep, which was the first 3 months of the cut, that's when things escalated quickly between us. She was very supportive, very understanding, very helpful of the idea that I am a bodybuilder. She was also invested into the idea that I was a physiotherapy student or a healthcare student, and she was a medical student as well, so she clearly understood that, and she really had a lot to support me with mentally. Whenever I was feeling, a little bit crammed up for time, I have to do my cardio and I have to go to the gym and I have exams and I have assignments and I have to be in the clinic and I have this and that all the time, and I never have time for her, but she never complained. From the time I met her up to now, which is almost 10 months, I have only had 2 meals off plan with her. One of them was before I even started my prep. It was in the initial 3 weeks leading into the cut, and it was around Christmas time. The second time we went out for a date, and we had a treat that was off plan. It was her birthday. She was very understanding that I was okay with not celebrating my own birthday. She was very understanding that I couldn't have dinner with her. And I know that's how a lot of bodybuilders live with their, but in my head, I never really thought I would find someone now around this age group at my age. Like the age of 21 years old. I've been in Ireland for the past 4 years studying medicine. I have, a decent circle of people that I know. And a lot of people are just normal people in their early 20s who like to go out, like to go for hikes, like to go out for drinks, like to go out to travel. They'll buy tickets on sale on Ryanair to fly to the UK for a weekend and back, for example, or Spain for the weekend and back, for example. And while I could live the same way, I was always thinking to myself, I am going to not spend those 200 or 300 euros on a weekend, and rather I will put them in bodybuilding. And that was just how I thought all the time, and it wasn't bad. What happened then was a few different things. There was some issues back home, both personal issues that I don't want to get into, really, not because I don't want to be open and transparent, because that's what I'm doing right now, but mainly because the personal issues are related to my parents, so I don't have the right to bring these things up. However, these personal issues were not aiding the financial situation for me as a student and as someone who is being funded mainly by a scholarship from the university studying in, and with some support from his parents. When I figured out that, okay, we have a problem here and the money has to probably either decrease or I have to stop spending as much, then a second problem arose, which is back home, the economic situation is not really what it is anymore, and the price of my currency was going up all the time. So for example, if my dad was to help me with an X amount of money in my currency, that amount of money would arrive to me as a Y value because of the conversion rate, right? Now, my dad or my family would send me the same amount of money in Egyptian currency, but it would arrive as a smaller amount in euros because the value of my currency kept going down. Sabina. And I told her, I'm not gonna continue this prep. It's just too much. And I'd rather have you by my side and be able to, have a family with you than bodybuild. And she was like, well, you're really good. I really like that you're really invested in bodybuilding in the gym. And I was like, I don't have to stop the gym. A gym membership is 35 euros.
Okay, everyone, so it is currently... What time is it? It's currently 8:45 a.m. We have done our makeup, we have done the hair, and we are almost ready to step on stage. I've been carving up gym.
So I decided, you know what, I'll just continue this prep. There's only less than 2 months anyway. The show was dated the 1st of June 2024. Either the 1st of June or the 30th of May, I can't really remember. So I continued my prep, and when I was in my peak week, exactly 12 days out from the show, the federation I was going to compete in, which I'm not going to mention, posted on Instagram that their show has been cancelled because they did not get enough entries to fund the show. I can sit here and write all about, well, they could have done this in a different way. They should have known a long time ago that it wasn't going to work out, not wait until 12 days out, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not that type of person, and all of these things can be probably guessed by anyone, and I don't have to sit here and shit on other people and other things for no benefit and no reason at all. They are a federation, they have a well-respected team of loyal athletes, and everyone does mistakes. That's all I'm gonna say. So when that happened, I was 6 weeks out from Muscle Contest Ireland. I wasn't planning on doing Muscle Contest Ireland. That wasn't the initial goal. When I was trying to decide which goal or which show I would do, I spoke to Vinny, and he was like, you should go for both. And I was like, I don't think I would benefit anything from competing at the Muscle Contest Ireland because I am very small and I'm natural, and even though that other federation I was going to compete in this time was not drug tested, because that was the second step, right? I started off competing at a drug tested federations, and then the next step is I wanted to see how I would do with some enhanced athletes. But I wanted like somewhere in between the big dog league and the natural federations. So Vinny was like, you know, you can still do the Muscle Contest Ireland, but this one got cancelled. And I'm sitting there grabbing my head, like I dieted for 5 months for nothing. And Sabina then looks at me and she says, look, if you should compete. That's what she said. She said, you should definitely compete. And I was like, I'm diet for 6 more weeks through my final exams, which I have to get 70%, aka first class honors in order to continue having my scholarship that funds my bachelor's, which is the reason why I am here in Ireland, and it's how we initially met. So it's so funny because like at this point I was not playing only Russian roulette, I was playing all sorts of poker and Russian roulette and any freaking heads and tails, every single gamble you can imagine I was playing, because I was gonna be going through the end phase of diet, which is the hardest, through the toughest at the same time. So I was going to be going through the hardest period of the dieting phase, and at the same time going through the hardest period of the studying phase of the academic year. And at the same time I was suffering mentally from the fact that there was some financial issues, her and my very, very supportive coach. And I had a talk with her before the show because she couldn't be here, she had to be back home. I had a talk with her. I was like, Sabina, we have to put an end to this. Like, I love competing, but I am not gonna become one of those people who ends up having to borrow money from his friends and family to compete. And she was like, well, that's is a good idea, but at the same time you're very, very good, So why not set yourself a standard that if you achieve, you can then continue to compete? And if not, then that's it. You just, having a normal life and you continue being a fan of bodybuilding without having to step on stage again. And to be honest, that's when I sat down and realized that she's right. So I wanted to sit down and set a realistic goal that wasn't like too out of the blue, and at the same time something challenging that wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna walk in there and do what I said I was gonna do so easily with my eyes closed. So I told myself I'm gonna aim for top 3 in the junior division and top 5 in the open class division. And I spoke to my coach about this and I was like, do you think that's realistic? And he said, well, the open class, maybe yes, top 5 is a realistic goal. It's not easy, but it's not impossible. But the junior class, he said, I think you can win that class. And I was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. So I went by that. That was my goal. That was my standard. And, I went by it. I stepped on stage. I won the junior class today, which was expected. It wasn't expected. It was just that it was my goal, and I achieved it. So it was happy, but just happy. Okay, you've done part 1. Now for part 2. I stepped on stage with the open class guys. There was 6 of us, and I got 3rd place in a lineup where the weight cap was 98.4 kilograms and I weighed in at 92 kilograms. So I still have 6.5 kilograms, or just around 16 pounds of tissue to add on. And to me, that bronze medal means more than the gold medal, because it's a symbol of exceeding your expectations. It's so funny how I came off stage and saw, the overall guy of classic physique, shout out to him, Mark. Insane physique. Congratulations to you for being an IFBB pro, and I wish you all the best. But I saw him cry in tears after winning the overall, and he was like, I was like, congratulations, man, how long have you been doing that for? And he's like, 10 years. And then I just turn around and I walk to the backstage and I sit down, and for some reason I felt the exact same way. I was about to cry, and I was like, why the fuck are you crying? You're a freaking novice on an NPC stage, and people win their class and they don't cry. But the reason I felt that way was because I was able to prove to myself that you should have more self-confidence than you do. You can do more than what you think you can do, and you just have to keep putting in the same hard work that you put in, and continuity and discipline is the name of not only the bodybuilding game, but any game. The only reason I get first class honors every single year in my college is because I don't study the 6 weeks before the exam. I study throughout the year from week 1 to week 37. Every weekend I have a day where I go over the lectures, I make notes, blah blah blah. And no matter what happens in my life, that day and that specific time slot is designated for that topic. No matter what happens or how I feel, I go to the gym and I do my workout. No matter what happens or how I feel, I get my meals in. Now, my diet is something I'm not really consistent with that I have to work on, but that's kind of something that's outside my control. Because sometimes I'm in college and other days I'm in the clinic, and the things I eat and the type of things I eat and the timings of which I eat things can be much better and can be more improved for optimal results. But at the same time, I know that that's what I need to do, but I also know that I can't just pull out a Tupperware of chicken and rice in the middle of like a clinic setting or in the hallway of a clinic and eat. So I end up going for things like a protein bar and stuff, which is fine. I still get my macros in, but the quality will make a difference, obviously, in your progress. And that was it, everyone. That was part 1 and part 2. This is who Boda is.